Why muri Zimbabwe ndinomkamchira mchongo chedu cheve chidiki uhlelo The Connection lilami uMike Hove. Welcome Zimbabwe muhle to The Connection, Studio 7's very own youth program that targets tackling everything and anything youth related. We're coming to you unfortunately, usually I like to say we're coming to you live from Studio 7 Voice of America, but today we're coming to you from my couch, and unfortunately the program tonight is pre-recorded. But nonetheless, we're Zimbabwe Tripano. We're coming to you from Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, the 7th of April, 2020. Zimbabwe. I'm your host, Mike Hove. Zimbabwe muhle. Once again, tinomkamchira mchongo chedu cheve chidiki uhlelo The Connection lilami uMike Hove. Nasi mchongo namhla kuhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo sithinta udaba lwegciwane le-coronavirus. Nyaya ye-coronavirus iyathi inengathi yaviringidza phasi rose. That thus far, Zimbabwe, the global pandemic that we're talking about, umkhuhlane weCoronavirus, is responsible for taking over 76,000 lives. 76,000 lives. The last time we spoke, last week, we were only talking about 30. Well, not only, but we're talking about 30,000 lives that were lost. Now, this means that just within the space of a week, the number has practically doubled. Now, over 1,300,000 people worldwide have tested positive for COVID-19. This increased last week. We're only talking about 800,000 people. So, of course, the number has increased. Now, if we focus on what's happening in Zimbabwe, yesterday we saw a Ministry of Information confirming that there are now 10 people who have tested positive for COVID-19. And unfortunately, well, some would say fortunately, because that means not a lot of people have died due to it. But unfortunately, we have lost one person, 30-year-old Zororo Makamba. Now, the Ministry of Information in a tweet further informed the nation. Let me read the tweet as is. It says, the amount of people that have been tested thus far for COVID-19 are 371 people, of which 361 people have tested negative, 10 positive, and one, like I mentioned earlier on, passed away due to COVID-19, who was a young Zororo Makamba. Now, they further informed the nation that the 10th person to test positive for COVID-19 is a 24-year-old female based in Harare who arrived 2 weeks ago from the United Kingdom. This 24-year-old lady is currently clinically stable and in, I quote, self-isolation at home. As for the 9 cases alive to date, they're being managed and recovering under self-isolation at home. Saka ndiyo nyaya tinayo nasi mchirongwa ndiyo nyaya yachikubata umkhuhlane weCoronavirus. Siqhubekela phambili sixoxa ngalo mkhuhlane, sixoxa labasakhulayo tichibata nyaya itichinzwa ukuthi chiri kunyatsonetsa chi, and well, of course, how can people prevent it? As we speak, Zimbabwe, we're broadcasting on radio on 909 medium wave frequency, triple 4930 and 15460 kilohertz good shortwave. I must remind you, Zimbabwe, once again, unfortunately, this program is pre-recorded due to the fact that as we speak, I am working from home. Coronavirus. So, unfortunately, you won't be able to call in as usual. Nonetheless, Zimbabwe Tripano, Pachrongo Chedu Cheve Chidiki, uhlelo The Connection, lilami uMike Hove. Once again, Zimbabwe, tinotenda zvikuru munhu wese ari kupinda muchirongwa chedu cheve chidiki uhlelo The Connection lilami uMike Hove. Now, I mentioned earlier on, uhlelo lolu is not live. It is a pre-recorded program. However, lilakukusitshela imibono yenu mayelana ngalo mkhuhlane we-coronavirus ukuthi how is it affecting your lives? Ilizwe lethu sikhuluma nje has entered week 2 sikuhlelo lukahulumende lockdown. So we want to hear from you ukuthi eningi lenu, how are you surviving during the as the nation enters week 2 of the lockdown? So you can text us your opinion, you can text us your feedback on +1 202 465 0318 per WhatsApp. Or if you're looking to catch up with me, you can text me. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at BigMike3 is the username, BIGMYKE3. Ndipo pamnokwanisa kundipata muri Zimbabwe. So let us know what you think. Let us know what's happening wherever you are. For 21 days, they're not sure how they're going to survive. Says a lot of people in the country survive off being vendors, are part of the informal sector. Now, unfortunately, President Emmerson Mnangagwa announced only people who are part of what they call the essential services are going to be working and functioning throughout this time that they are calling the lockdown, which means abantu who are doctors, abantu who work in banks, abantu who are, of course, policemen, and recently announced the farmers will also be partaking and be part of what they're calling the essential services. How am I supposed to survive for the next, what's left of the 21 days? Vasina chikafu nekuti vazhinji vari kuti 3 days dzavakapiwa nemutungamiriri wenyika were not enough to ensure kuti one vanowana chikafu that will last them the next 21 days. And of course vazhinji vari kuchema vachiti hanzi nyaya yemvura ndeimwe yanetsa. So we're going to be having youth that are going to be joining us on the program today, and they're going to be highlighting what's going on. We're looking to talk to medical experts. We're looking to talk to farmers. And of course, I catch up with youth who are in these areas that they are titling as places whereby people are looking out for, places, high density suburbs such as Mbari. But before we move over Muria, Zimbabwe, let us head over to some of the good things that people are doing in society in order to benefit people during this lockdown. Earlier on, I mentioned with that in mind, the Community Water Alliance recently started a program whereby they're helping Vanuatu sanitizer and let's head over to Hard Life Mudzingwa of the Community Water Alliance, who tells us more.
Sanitizers apuwa na local leaders, councillor na honorable so community alliance. Saka ndichangotaura kuti inoshandiswa sei sanitizer. Basa rayo rinenge kuti committee iripo igeze maoko. Kana yageza maoko pavanozobata matepi vanenge vakubata nemaoko asina kusviba. Saka vanhu vagare vanouya vachiwana mvura pano vane vasingachatenderwi kuti variwo vabate matepi because havazokwanisi kuona kuti ane tsvina maoko inokwanisa kuspreada chirwere ndeipi. Saka ndo zvavachanga vachishandisa. Chechipiri, sanitizers ratavapai pane iri rinogona kushanda pakuchenesa mvura futi. Saka rine multi purposes rinoshanda. Iri rakasiyana nerimwe sanitizer rinonamira kana rishandiswa. Iri ukaridira rakamboita sokuwadira mvura. Ndichadira mune 1 kuti vangonzwa kuti kungosumudza katopa ukatodzwa kanoita sekunge maiswa mvura asi ari mwiwi rakadaro riri concentrated. Asi kana muda kurishandisa zvakaita se 200 ml dzinokwanisa kudirwa mu 25 liters mvura iyoyo inenge yatopinda panapa apo rambo rakanaka kuti arrangement iripo inochenesa mvura zvakanaka. Saka ndozvavanenge vachishandisa secommittee iwo uzobata matepi vanhu havachatenderwi kubata matepi. Tichaita chirongwa sekutaura kwataita chekuya togadzisa matepi kuti
Muria Zimbabwe, you just heard there from Hard Life Mudzingwa. Vanga chinyatsanangura chirongwa chavainacho icho chine chinangwa chekubatsira vanhu vekuHarare uko vari kusangana nedambudziko reCoronavirus. But now earlier on I mentioned kuti kune vanhu vazhinji vari kusangana nematambudziko akasiyana during this 21-day lockdown. Now we got a couple of videos courtesy of Roots. They are out there. They're within the communities. As we speak, Roots has their program whereby they are helping. Earlier on, I highlighted enough time for them to set aside enough money to buy food and supplies that they need to last them throughout the 21 days. A lot of them even complained and said, you know what, to even begin with, they don't make enough money for them to be able to purchase that amount of food that would last them for 21 days. A lot of a huge chunk of the youth in the nation are vendors and people that are, that survive off making money on a day-to-day basis. And hence, what it means is a lot of them are actually purchasing their food as they go. So with that in mind, a lot of people started complaining, sha muchiti 21 days tiri mudzimba zvinganetsa. With that has led to several different things. Katarisa, in some stores panenge pane maline pane vanhu vakawandisa zvikurusa. So and health experts are saying that's another caution thing. That's another thing that people should be concerned about, because these people, whilst in that line, are not abiding by the laws of social distancing. Njalo sikhangela njalo at the boreholes, abantu bayakhala besithi ezindlini zabo they're not receiving water, so a lot of them are going out in their masses beyodinga amanzi. Let's head over to omunye mama obexoxa lo Beatrice Savage ke onhlanganiso Roots. Bekhala ngempela besithi 21 days zinenge zishabanetha zvikhurusa. Let's head over to
electricity ayisikwenda ndithi electricity is okay. Pamvura manje unofuma mvura kusina apa tiri kuzi 1 meter apart andi murikuona. Saka iyi 1 meter apart here dava tisiyo mvura ichipira nyangwe zvayo isina kupurifaiwa mvura yacho ka ikabudawo mudzimba matoilets anoda utsanana. Patinofamba pepa tichiti ivai neutsanana ka hapana utsanana hunoitika because mvura hakuna. Mvura 4 am inenge yaenda. Vanhu ndosvika tiri pakiu pamabhoho tichishera mvura. Ino nhu ndotokurisa mvura inenge yakatochena zviri nani. Kana mangwende mvura yacho inobuda yakatsvukuruka. Hatizoziva kuti mvura yacho yakanaka here kana kuti chii. Saka kuchema kwatinako ka sehurumende ngaipinduroka yoenda kune macity fathers edu okuti mvura ngaisaende. Tiwane mvura pai mulocation. Because lockdown ikai tikaona mvura mulocation hatimboswera takaungana kudai so. Ende sesusu macommunity care workers ka hatizofamba tichiti 1 meter apart munhu anenge achitoziva. Saka ndozvatiri kuchema nazvo izvozvo.
Manzwa kuna maya vanga vachichema zvikurusa vachiti nyaya 1 meter apart inogona kunetsa. So bayakhala ngempela besithi hulumeni sicela ukuthi lisisize ngamanzi njalo udaba logesi kumele ugesi kumele lungahambi. Let's head over to another young gentleman nayo angari kuchibhorani and he caught up na Muzvare Savage vachi vatsanangura matambudziko avari kusangana nawo.
Now yatichema nayo ndiye mvura yatiri kumwa pamatepa isi kumwika. Vamwe totomungoti titorwara nayo mvura. Ndisamukutona takaungana pana kuungana kwatikuitwa kuti tochera mvura kuti tiwanewo chekumwa. Mvura yari patepi yakatombobuda yegreen. Ameno makala yari kungobuda tsvina yakatowandisa. Tinotoita kuti tomboimirira kuti iri mabhaketi totombomira kuimwa kuti takadzika tsvina yakuti tikwanise kuimwa. Saka ndo zvinhu zvinoita kuti tiuye kunozomwa kuzochera mvura kuti tichere papembe totorwara. Saka mukuzoona takaungana pana kuungana haisi problem kuti tikungonakidzwa nekubuda. Tikuzoti pane nhau iripo coronavirus but nhau kana iripo isusu manje hatikwanisika kuswera mba tichimwa mvura ine tsvina. Saka takatoona kuti tikatombobudawo kuti tiwane mvura yekumwa zviri right zvangu.
Saka ndiwo matambudziko ari kusangana nevanhu vazhinji munyika. Vanhu vazhinji vari kuchema vachiti udaba lokuswelakala kwamanzi njalo impuphu is leading to abantu abaningi ngempela lining up in their long lines vari kuzvibhorani njalo bangaphandle kwesitolo bedinga phela impuphu. Throughout that time, a lot of people within the civic spaces sixoxe njalo lo sakhulayo uSali Mlambo ngomunye wabasakhulayo esixoxe labo. Usali yena is in Manicaland. Echasisa ngempela esithi udubo lukhona ngale Manicaland. It seems to be something that's happening all over the country. Is eningi labantu whilst within these queues abahloniphi umthetho lo owe social distancing. Besithi umuntu kumele abe at least a meter or 2 apart ukuze bebone ukuthi umkhuhlane lo it doesn't spread like wildfire. But now let's head over to our medical expert esilaye Namuhla kuhlelo. Ibizo lakhe Chido. How you doing, sis? I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us today on the program. Now let's dive into it. Murgunzano azhinji vari kuchema nenyaya yokushayikwa kwemvura. A lot of people are complaining because a lot of people didn't get enough time to find essentials that will last them throughout the duration of the 21-day lockdown. Now, you're a medical expert. A lot of people seem to be scared because they feel as though people are in their numbers, like I meet on my line, and they're not respecting social distancing. What exactly does this mean? What exactly are they putting on the line when they're talking about when they're not respecting these laws of social distancing?
So based on what I've heard so far, I think people are right in their concerns. I think we do have some real challenges. Hatinganyeperani kuti mvura haisi kunetsa, hatinganyeperani kuti hupfu noda kutengwa, and when you go out to the supermarket, there are a lot of queues for people who want to buy hupfu, who want to get water. And one of the things that is very, very important for COVID-19, like you mentioned, is social distancing. So kana tichienda muhwandi hwedu ipapo, there is a risk of contracting the virus. And one of the things that I can say is zvizhinji zvachona zvatinokwanisa kudzivirira zviri mumaoko medu. So when we go out into those queues, as citizens, as community members, tinofanwa kurongana pachedu, tinofanwa kubatsirana pachedu kuti kana tiri muqueue machona ngatikurudzire kuti timaintain that distance ye1 meter. Kana taenda kuchibhorani pakati pedu, we need to decide kuti alright, uyu ngaamirapo, uyu ngaamirapo, uyu ngaamirapo, kuti tidzivirire kuspreada kweutachiona uyu. And I think one of the things that's important with public health interventions and disease outbreaks like the one that we have is that we should have community buy-in. So isusu pachezvedu sema-community tofanwa kuzvitora pachedu kuti what can we do, kwete kumirira kunzi mapurisa ndiye achauya kuzotirongera line kana kuti ani naani ndiye achauya achitirongera line. Pachezvedu we need to come up with strategies to help ourselves, because if it spreads inopararira mudzimba dzedu.
Now, you've highlighted a lot of things here, and that seems to be that Vanu need to take this thing seriously. Now, a lot of people seem to not have a firm understanding coronavirus, which is a lot of people think, what, China. And if you look at the numbers of the people who have tested positive, are people who actually have the luxury of traveling outside of the country. Does this mean that the ordinary person, maybe in the high density suburbs, who has never traveled, now they're not at risk? Because this is how some people are treating it.
Yes, and initially, I think semazivira noita vanhu vakawanda virus yakatangwa kuwanikwa kuChina, and then from China vanhu vakabvawo kuChina vachitravela vachienda kunzvimbo dzakasiyana siyana were now spreading the virus across the globe. Kunana Europe nekunana USA virus yatovapo, and also unfortunately nyangwe muno muAfrica nemuno muZimbabwe yatovamo. Tinotanga chiti yes, inenge yauya muZimbabwe nevanhu vanenge vakashanya kumhiri dzemakungwa. However, there is also a possibility of community transmission. So sezvawambotaura Mike kuti muZimbabwe pari zvino mune 10 cases. Pane 10 achona pane one a gentleman who came from Dubai, but we now know kuti kutravela kwakaita akauya muZimbabwe akatopawo hama dzemba make the virus. So I think there's already cases of Africans, Zimbabweans, and also Zimbabweans who haven't traveled, contracting the virus from people that they've come into close contact with. Sezvatambotaura paya kuti kana tika, and so that's why we should keep social distance.
Mm-hmm. Now, Chido, we've highlighted that several different countries right now are currently going through a lockdown period. Amongst them is Zimbabwe, South Africa, Botswana. Even here in the United States of America, we're all in a partial lockdown. It's just that they're calling it a stay-at-home order by the governors. But somehow the numbers are still going up of people who are either A, dying of coronavirus, or people who are B, testing positive for coronavirus. Now, could you explain to me as to why this is happening, especially during a time whereby people are becoming more aware of the consequences of the coronavirus?
Okay, so one of the things that is important when we try and look at the number of cases that we see is an understanding of the disease progression. So coronavirus, once you get infected, until you start to show symptoms. So totindabatsira virus nasi from munwando garanai, I'm going to start showing symptoms between 2 to 4 days from the time that I contract the virus. And so what's happening in China, for example, is they had their lockdown towards the end of January, but up until recently, they had still been having an increase in cases. And that's because once you contract the virus, it's going to be about 2 weeks until you start showing symptoms, up to 2 weeks until you start showing symptoms. Kazhinji kachona, before you start showing symptoms, munachati apa mwendangobatira flu, haisi corona, uchambogara kumba kwemazuva. Kana zvatanga kuchidzimba, then maybe that's when you then say, okay, let me go to the hospital. Then you get tested, and then the test results come out. So while a lockdown is effective to stop the spread, so now if we have a lockdown, a lot of people are not going to be moving around and passing it on. But even then, people that have contracted it, it takes some time for symptoms to show. It takes some time for them to present. And so we will still see cases for up to 3 weeks if we stop coming into contact with anybody at all.
Now, as we have highlighted, speaking to other medical experts, the coronavirus itself seems to be affecting people across the board. It's not picking people by age, race, culture. It's just taking anyone. Initially, when this whole thing started, a lot of young people sought comfort in the idea that coronavirus is either A, affecting people with weak immune systems, or B, people of an older generation. But somehow we're finding that young people in Zimbabwe are becoming more and more susceptible to coronavirus. The first death we had was Zoro Makamba, was 30 years old. The 10th victim, or the 10th person to contract coronavirus in Zimbabwe is 24 years old. What does this mean for young people all over the world?
I think what it means is that everybody needs to take the coronavirus seriously. While exactly like you say, the initial data showed that the risk of dying was higher among people that had other comorbidities that were all older. You can still contract the coronavirus if you're younger. And even when you're younger, a lot of people have comorbidities that they're not aware of. Sometimes if you have lung conditions, for example, they don't become apparent until you have some other infectious disease that attacks your lung function. And so we're all at risk. We all need to take it seriously. While I, as a young person, might contract coronavirus and recover, I live with my mother, who is much older and has other comorbidities. So I can't be going out to parties and then coming home kuna mama, because I put my mother at risk. And if she contracts it, her risk of dying due to coronavirus is higher than myself. So yes, right now the data shows that the probability of dying if you're younger is lower. However, if you're younger, you can still transmit the virus. And so we all have a responsibility to contain COVID-19.
All right, Chido, let me hold you there for 1 second. Let us head to another video of Sibonuguti Amapoisa Elizweni, the police. What exactly are they doing to help abantu during this time whereby there's a lockdown? I see as well labantu bekhalala besithi amaphoyisa khanya ngani ayahlukuluza abantu, but last week sibona amaphoyisa bephuma ngobunenge babo cleaning indawo ezitshiyeneyo bachikurudzira utsanana. Let's head over to Senior Assistant Commissioner Uport Nyati Sizwe ukuthi yena what exactly were they doing last week endaweni ezitshiyeneyo, especially in the high density suburbs ezifana laBombare. Let's head over to him.
Mapurisa eZimbabwe Public Police vabatana nekanzuro yeHarare kuti vaone kuti utano hwevanhu takatasana nechirwere cheCovid-19 wachengetedzeka. Ndosaka maona kuti mapurisa vapa dzimotikari dziri kufamba kuno kumbare musika, kuCopacabana, kunana Market Square nedzimwe nzvimbo dzese dzemuHarare dzinopinda veruzhinji kuti dziitwe yatinoti pachirungu fumigation. Saka toda kuti veruzhinji vakoshese nyaya dzeutsanana, vasarase marara pese pese, vaobserve zvakanzi social distance pachirungu, vaiobserve kuitira utano, uyezve vanhu vateerere mutemo panenge pachitaurwa kuti mapurisa ari kufamba vachiongorora kuti zvinhu zvakamira sei, vanhu vanzwisane nemapurisa, vasaite misikanzwa, uyezve vateerere kana pakanzipo pane maexemptions. Vanhu vane maexemptions ndivo vanofanira kunge vachiita zvinhu zvakasiyana-siyana zvavakanzi vaite. Saka toda kutenda veruzhinji, nokuti tinoti vanhu vasungwa vashoma. MuZimbabwe mune vanhu vanopfuura 14 million, asi tikatarisa vanhu vasungwa iko zvino izvi havasi kupfuura kana havasi kusvika kana chiuru. Saka zvinhu zvatoda kutenda izvozvo kuti zvinhu zvirambe zvakadaro, nyika ichibatsirana kurwisana nechirwere cheCovid-19.
All right, that was the Senior Assistant Commissioner uPorter Manyati ubekhuluma ngempela esithi bona njengamaphoyisa they are very happy ngenxa yokuthi number one sizwe njalo izolo on Sunday sixoxe njalo lo Nick Mangwana yena oweMinistry of Information njalo ubechasisa laye ekhuluma esithi umongameli laye he's just as excited as senior commissioner owamaphoyisa esithi abantu bona bakhanya ngani they're respecting umthetho wafakwa about i-lockdown, i-21 less days. Siyabona abantu ngempela ukuthi abantu abaningi abaphumi, but still people wanting ukusangana netambudziko ukusangana newantu wabo. So let's head over to our medical expert Sizwe ukuthi yena, what does she have to say about what happened last week? So Chido, last week we saw the police vachenda kunema high density suburbs vachi fumigate vachi cleaner. Is this something positive? What does this mean for Anupato Taiwan nezvenyaya yeutsanana?
So it is positive in the sense that if we can try and disinfect the spaces that we live in, it can help mitigate the spread of the virus. So one of the things that we know about the COVID virus is that it's spread through droplet infection. And so if I have the virus and I cough, for example, onto a surface, the virus can survive on that surface for a specific duration of time. And so even in our homes, and exactly like what the police are doing, trying to disinfect all spaces, that's one of the measures that we can take to try and stop the spread of the virus.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's look at what's happening in our neighboring nations, whereby the coronavirus seems to be cleaning house. If we look at places like South Africa, we have thousands of people that have tested positive for coronavirus. We have thus far over 3 people that have died due to coronavirus, of which, might I highlight, a lot of them are youth. In South Africa, they're now starting to execute what they calling a door-to-door testing process, whereby they're trying to test people from a door-to-door place, especially in places whereby they're what they call in hotspots. Do you think that this is something important for us to implement in a place like Zimbabwe?
So I think all testing is positive. So we start off by asking, why are we testing? And the reason why we're testing is that testing helps us understand the burden of disease in our context. It helps us plan our healthcare facilities. It helps us also, once we've identified the people that have the virus, we can then isolate them so that they stop spreading the virus to other people. So testing is really, really important. If our government does have the capacity to start door-to-door testing, it's one of the things that would be recommended to be done. But one of the things that I think we also need to be cognizant of when we think about COVID-19 as context. So while South Africa might have the resources to test and might have resources in terms of the finances to procure the test, the lab capacity, the staffing capacity, if they have the actual nurses to go out and do the testing in the community, that would be great. But we need to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, if we were to implement this in Zimbabwe, do we actually have the capacity? And another one of the things to consider is that we do know that in South Africa, there is community spread of COVID-19. So like you correctly mentioned, there are hotspots that have been identified. And so they know that, okay, in these areas, there's a lot of COVID-19. And so if we go door to door and isolate the people that are positive, it can yield results. Based on the testing that's happening in Zimbabwe, we don't have a lot of evidence per se of community spread. We have only 10 cases. We don't have clusters of COVID-19. And so one of the questions that we would then ask is, where would they target? Are we going to test the whole country? If we're going to test the whole country, do we have the resources?
Now, let's look at Zimbabwe as a case itself. So far, only 371 people have been tested. I'm assuming, I can't make that assumption. It's actually been proven. More than 371 people have entered the country throughout the time that, the whole coronavirus thing became a problem. So if we have only tested 371 people, is this even enough?
That's a very good question. It's a very good question. I'm on Twitter and a lot of people are talking about, why we're not testing a lot of people. And like I mentioned before, testing is important. It's one of the things that can help us almost nip the virus in the bud, because once we identify the people that have the virus and those people are isolated, we can quickly stop the spread of the virus. So yes, definitely we need to test as many people as we can. Different governments are using different strategies. There's also different algorithms as to who gets tested. So, for example, like you mentioned, it might be that we test everybody who is coming through our borders. But as you know as well, we had over 13,000, I think is the number that was in the media, of people who came through our borders. Do we have the capacity to test 13,000? So it might be that we are prioritizing who we test based on who presents with symptoms. And that's, like I mentioned, a strategy that is based on your context, based on your resources. And also one thing that's important to note is that that strategy can change. It's exactly like you mentioned, the South Africa example is that initially they weren't testing door to door, but one of the things that probably happened is they noticed that there are hotspots, they noticed that there's community spread of the virus. And so the next strategy that they could then put in place was door-to-door testing in areas where they've noticed clusters of COVID-19.
Now, let's talk a little more about the testing facilities that we have. We hear doctors, a lot of them are in fear because they feel as though Zimbabwe is not equipped enough to fight COVID-19. They feel as though a lot of doctors and medical personalities do not have the necessary equipment to be able to assist, for example, people that have coronavirus. We don't have enough gloves, ventilators, and so forth. What does this mean in total? Because, and I must highlight too, that this is not an issue that Zimbabwe is also facing. Even here in the United States of America, doctors are being told, if you don't have a mask, use a scarf. So what does this mean for Zimbabweans?
I think we've had a big run-in period when it comes to COVID-19. So we've seen what's happened with other countries. We've seen that what COVID-19 does is it puts a strain on the healthcare system. And so one of the things that we should have been doing is getting ready for, increased hospitalizations due to COVID-19. We've seen a lot of talk about it in the media, like you said. They're trying to, in Zimbabwe, for example, ramp up Wilkins Hospital. There's talk about other private healthcare facilities. There's also talk of decentralizing testing. And I think those are some of the things that are really, really important. And those are some of the things that we need to start acting on now. Zimbabwe has a large rural population. If there is spread of COVID-19 to rural healthcare facilities, we need to start getting those facilities ready. If we need PPE, one of the commendable things that I've noticed is that some tertiary institutions and private organizations have started manufacturing this protective equipment for healthcare providers. We need to do that in earnest because if our healthcare system does get burdened, we're going to need to be ready. Doctors are going to need to be protected because the last thing we want is for our doctors to get sick. So that's one of the things that should be dealt with quite speedily, and one of the things that should be taken quite seriously. And then another thing that we've picked up in Zimbabwe and in other countries as well is that once you do contract COVID-19, it's not everybody who needs to be hospitalized. And so one of the things that WHO Africa has recommended is home-based care. And so you can actually isolate within your own home, try and be as comfortable as possible within your own home. And so that's for those people who do not need hospitalization.
Now, Chido, you've highlighted how not everybody needs to be tested. No, sorry, not tested. Not everybody needs to be hospitalized. Some people can be, what they're calling self-isolation, or you stay at home and you just kind of, get better. How does one know that this is important for me to either A, get tested or not get tested?
So I think what is happening right now is once you develop symptoms that are suggestive of COVID-19, the recommendation is that you do get tested. In terms of Zimbabwe, what I do know is once you develop those symptoms, the government is saying you call a hotline number, which is 2019-2019. And from there, you can get guidance on what to do next. If the recommendation is that you go to the nearest testing facility, then they will direct you there. If the recommendation based on your symptoms is that you stay home and monitor the situation, then you stay at home and monitor the situation. One of the things that a lot of countries are doing is telling people actually not to go to their nearest healthcare facility. And that's because on your way there, there's a lot of people that you can meet. And as we know, this is an infectious disease and you can pass it on to other people. And so stay home. If there's a hotline number, call the hotline number. Get advice on what to do. If you need to go to the testing facility, it might be that an ambulance comes and picks you up, which is what's being done in some high-income countries, or they give you advice on how to get to the testing or isolation facility.
All right, let me hold you there for 1 second. Let's head over to another video, Muria Zimbabwe. You heard earlier on, Chido was highlighting my tertiary institutions and some universities are actually assisting in terms of either A, producing protective gear or creating masks. Let's head over to Chinoi. One of the tertiary institutions now wangaitabasa rekugadzira mamask aya achanga chishandiswa mukurwisana nechirwere cheCoronavirus. Let's head over there tizoti chicha chinyatso. So, Muria Zimbabwe, as you can see for yourself there, kune vanhu vari kugadzira mamask aya ari kushandiswa muma institutions that are being used in the fight against COVID-19. Saka Muria Zimbabwe, kana muri kubva kupinda muchirongwa makachirira chirongwa chedu cheve chidiki uhlelo The Connection lilami uMike Hove. Once again, Muria Zimbabwe, unfortunately, we're not able to give you this broadcast live and so going like we always do. Lapho lishayela incingo lingena kuhlelo lisitshela umbono wenu. Kodwa lilakho kusitshela umbono wenu ukuthi kahle kahle what exactly are you guys facing during this 21-day lockdown? Liphila njani? Lilakho kusithumezela imibono yenu ku WhatsApp kunombolo ethi +1 202 465 0318 ngiyaphinda njalo +1 202 465 0318. Ndiyo nyaya tinayo nasi mchirongwa Muria Zimbabwe tukubata nyaya yezvechirwere cheCoronavirus. Joining me on the line is Uchido. She is a medical expert yena usitshela okunengi mayelana naleli gciwane leCoronavirus. Saka msakangano kana mchida uchiudza umaondo enyu +1 202 465 0318 ku WhatsApp ndipo kwamunokwanisa kutinyorera maondo enyu.
Zikhipani lapho egama ngumawiza, I'm a choir artist aka Mr. Ngikhuluma isikhiwa ngevenecule. Guys, COVID-19 abayibiza ngecorona into ekhona phambili nge-social distancing, asigezeni izandla, always stay safe, stay home. Last now. Easy machita, easy.
So, even musicians are starting to step in, but stay safe. Respect the rules that are being set by the people in authority. Asizweni ukuthi yena uChido, what does she have to say? Chido, what's good? What's good? You still on the line? All right, so now let's continue. We were highlighting the works that are being done by different people. We see now everyone has jumped on, hands-on, trying to help Zimbabweans all over the country. We've seen young people start off initiatives whereby they are using social media to educate each other on coronavirus. We're seeing, like we played earlier on, the police are taking it upon themselves to fumigate different areas. What else needs to be done to ensure that our number stays low in terms of people who have A, tested positive for COVID-19, and B, people who die due to COVID-19?
So rightly put, COVID-19 is everybody's responsibility. The narrative has changed. While our government does have a responsibility to make sure that we have healthcare facilities, that the medical professionals have protective equipment, there's also a responsibility on our service providers to make sure that, like we mentioned earlier, have water. If they can do the best they can to make sure that there's water supply in homes, because hand washing is important. But once all of that is done, there's still a responsibility on individuals. You and I need to make sure that we're staying home. There's government mandated lockdown, so stay home. If you don't need to go out, don't go out. If you do need to go out, make sure that you practice social distancing or physical distancing and stay at least a meter apart from the next person. It's also your responsibility to make sure that you wash your hands as frequently as possible. I know but it's still really important that with the little that we have, we do try and make sure that we wash our hands as often as possible. And one of the things that I love about the show and the other people who are coming up with community initiatives is that it is our responsibility. I think if we work together, if we sort of try and disseminate the right information about COVID-19. There's a lot of fake news that is circulating. Some of the stuff is alarming. And as a responsible citizen, as a responsible community member, and WhatsApp, information from credible sources like WHO, like the Ministry of Health, that information I should spread. But refrain from, trying to instill fear in people, trying to get people to go against what we've been told is the right thing to do. It's everybody's responsibility. It's a time for us all to step up.
Now, you highlighted how social media seems to be playing its role in pushing both the truth and both false information. A lot of people don't know that, as is, COVID-19 doesn't have a cure. They're now running towards traditional herbs and so forth and so forth. And they're being told, in a ginger, you might feel better, you might not contract coronavirus. As a medical expert, what would you say to these people?
So there are things that are helpful. So essentially what COVID-19 is, the symptoms are similar to flu-like symptoms. And so flu, one of the things that is recommended by medical experts is to take lots of liquids. So drink lots of water, drink lots of tea. Infusing your tea with things like lemon and ginger does also alleviate some of the flu-like symptoms. So that is stuff that is helpful. But then we do get sort of concoctions that are not necessarily going to be helpful. A lot of theories that are not helpful. One of the, I don't want to be spreading false news, so I'm not even going to talk about this. But things that will alleviate. One of the things that we know is, if you have a blocked nose, if you have hot water and you just try and steam by covering yourself over a bucket, that sort of helps, like with your airways. That's stuff that is, home remedies, things that can alleviate your symptoms. Like you said, there is no cure. And we should refrain from, peddling falsehoods that might actually land you in deeper trouble than if you didn't do anything.
Now, the whole testing procedure. behind what it means to be tested for coronavirus. And from step one up until the end, you either A, have coronavirus or you don't. How does it work? Just so that they have a brief understanding as to how the whole procedure behind being tested works.
Okay. So sekuziva kwatinoita tese corona yapararira is a virus. And so the procedure for testing coronavirus is that we need to collect a sample. We need to collect a specimen. I'm a medical professional, so kushandisa mashoko. Arigenenic zvinodinetsa, but then chatinenge tichida kuona kuti muhuro mako kana mumino mako mune virus here ririmo. So when you go to a testing facility, what they do is vano collect a sample, vanopinza chinoita kunge chitanda mumino mako, and chitanda ichocho chine collecta body fluids ako anenge ari mumino imomo. Those fluids anobva aendeswa to the nearest lab. Mulab vanobva vaongorora kuti muma fluids iwayo mune virus here kana hamuna, vachishandisa matest akasiyana siyana. Kuchirungu, the test that they use is it's called DNA PCR, and vanenge vachida kungoona kuti virus recorona ratinoziva iri ririmo here mumwiri mako kana kuti hamuna, vachishandisa matest iwayo. So it's something chinoitwa kulab. It's something chiri very complicated, but the simple term is that vanenge vachida kuongorora kuti mumwiri mako virus iroro ririmo here kana kuti hamuna.
Now, Chido, a lot of people panic. Watesta positive for coronavirus. Could you explain to people what it means to be tested for COVID-19 and also highlight whether or not people can recover from COVID-19?
Once you have been tested for COVID-19, you can either test negative, which means kuti hauna coronavirus, or you test positive, which means kuti unayo coronavirus. Chatiri kuziva pare zvino maererano necoronavirus ndechekuti vanhu vazhinji vanokwanisa kunge vanayo and haitombokurwarise to the extent that uchapinda muchipatara. I think 80% of, I think we have data to show kuti vanhu almost 50%, which is kana tine vanhu 100, 50 vanhu vakaonzi vane corona, they don't even show symptoms. Havatomborware to the point yekuti vanoenda kuchipatara. Kune vanoratidza masymptoms anogona kukwira kupisa mwiri kana kukosora. Vazhinji vachona masymptoms aya anogona kungopfuura ega nekufamba kwenguva. So the symptoms can resolve over time, just like if you had a cold or something, you can get better over time. Kunozoitawo vamwe like zvatambotaura before kuti pamwe unenge wagara une zvakakudzimba or wagara uri somebody ari at risk zvekuti unorwara uchizopinda muchipatara. There are those proportions of people, and among those proportions, what we do know is the mortality rate of COVID-19 is actually not very, very high. If we look at some other countries, we find in some countries the mortality rate, which is pane vanhu vatestwa vakaenza positive vafa vangani, it's as low as 2% or even lower. So it means kuti kukatestwa vanhu 100 kunogona kufa vanhu vairi kana less than vairi, which means kuti kune vanhu vazhinji vanoita nani, kune vacharwara kune vanoitawo nani futi, kune vachabatira vasingarware, and then kune a very small proportion yevanodzimbirwa neCovid-19 vogona kushaya, which is 2% in some countries. It fluctuates based on whether or not those countries are testing as much. So are they picking up everybody with COVID-19? Some countries aren't testing as much, and so it looks like their mortality is high. So pane vaimbotaura pakashayika zororo kuti maiwewe ukabata muZimbabwe COVID-19 kwakutofa. It's only because kana inini ndiri statistician, so it's a bit complicated, but we don't have that many, we haven't tested that many people. And so if we haven't tested that many people, it makes it seem like vanhu vakawanda vafa when your sample is only 2 people.
So essentially,
it's complicated, but
no, it's good that you mentioned that. So essentially, does this mean it's good or bad that we only have 10 people that are positive for COVID-19?
What do you mean by it's good or bad?
Is it good or bad? Because a lot of people, like you highlighted, it depends on how many people you've tested. So when information is being sent out that we only have 10 people tested for COVID-19, like for example, South Africa, over 1,000 people who have tested positive. Does this mean that as a nation, we're doing well with regard to abstaining or ensuring that we don't contract COVID-19?
Okay, I see what you mean. So like you said, and like what I've been saying is one of the things that's important to understand the burden of disease in a country or in a setting is testing. What we know from South Africa, for example, is very serious. They've tested a lot of people. I don't know the statistics offhand of the numbers that they've tested, but we do know that South Africa has implemented widespread testing. And so they're testing a lot of people, which means that they're picking up more cases. If you don't test, you don't know what's out there. Kana tisinga teste vanhu vakawanda tinogona kugara tichifunga kuti COVID-19 hakuna because hatisi kutesta. But the moment we increase our testing, it might be that we start to pick up more cases of COVID-19. So the fact that we have 10 cases now is good, but it may only be a reflection of the fact that we are not testing as much as our neighboring countries or as much as is warranted in our setting.
All right. Now, unfortunately, time is running out. So my last question to you, Chido, as we wrap up and I have to head over to other people in the segments is, do you think Zimbabwe is well prepared or has improved with regards to preparations to dealing with COVID-19?
I think you can never be, completely 100% prepared. When it comes to COVID-19, we've seen how it's affected so many countries that are high income countries. We've seen China, we've seen Italy, we've seen the UK, we've seen the US, where you are actually struggling with dealing with COVID-19. And these are settings where we would think but even they are, playing catch up with the virus. And so in terms of Zimbabwe, I think we are making efforts to try and prepare, but I don't think we can be over-prepared at any point. So whatever we're doing, we need to step it up. If we have one facility, we need to try and get as many facilities on board. If we've trained 100 healthcare professionals, we need to try and train more. Have we gone to our rural areas? Have we made sure that we have my ventilators? Have we made sure that my healthcare providers are going to get this protective clothing so that they don't contract the disease? Muma communities edu trukuadya here to lockdown yacho togona kuti taita lockdown but kana munhu wese akafararira mustreet tichishanyirana hapana zvataita, that kind of thing. And so we can never be too prepared. We've had the benefit of seeing other countries, and so we need to keep stepping up. We need to do more and fast.
All right. Thank you so much, Chido, for taking time out to join us on The Connection. I really appreciate your time. And, stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Bye.
All right. Muria Zimbabwe, mabakunzwa kuna Chido. Angachinyatsotsanangura anzi number one abva andifungisa zvakambotaurwa nevaimbo vemutungamiriri wenyika vaRobert Mugabe vachiti asante sana iwe neni tine basa. Wonke umuntu ngempela mthwakazi omuhle kuthiwa kumele sisebenze ndawonye, kumele sidonse ndawonye to ensure ukuthi silakho ukunqoba lo mkhuhlane. So sitsheleni umbono wenu, umzulu kaNdaba limzwile uChido echasisa ngempela esithi into yokuqala kuqhakathekile ngempela ukuthi wonke umuntu qhubekani phambili ligeza izandla lisebenzisa isepa. So, makathira chirongwa chedu chebechi ikimure Zimbabwe, uhlelo The Connection, lilambi uMike Hove.
Corona, diri uzemane corona, mamboe, corona, diri uzemane corona, lockdown, tagango gara muzimba, mawango tijisana taisa, pura tijisa malemon. Corona, tiri kusemane corona, mamboe, corona, tiri kusemane corona. Hello, Zimbabweans, makasimba ere, zita rangu ndinoitwa Just Signal,
aka Mr. Tirarira. Nangoti ndikuuye uchidzeye nenyaya yeurwere hwakadai kutivhurira maso matsvuku guys. Tingatigare mudzimba, tigare maoko edu akachena, tichigeza nesipo, tichimwa zvedu mvura ine maremoni iyoyo guys, tichichengetedze utano nekuti chirwere ichi chiriko, chirwere ichi chakatotimirira kudya isusu vararami, asi toda tichengetedze upenyu hwedu guys. Tisabude mudzimba, garai muri mumba guys. Nguva ichakwane kuti bude, tese totodawo kubuda mumba, titiende kunze, tikwanisa kurova mangoma mbati asi kugoneka, hapana chikukwanisika izvezvo. Chirongodiwa nchekuti tichengetedze, tigare mumba, tichengetedze utano hwedu, kugeza maoko, mvura yakadziya, isa malemoni, chichichi zviri kudiwa zvakatikoshera izvezvi. Nangoti ndinokudai guys, garai mudzimba, pazvichapera izvi aiwa tichafara. Ndimanje manje Mwari vanotichengeta, Mwari ndo vanotinunura. I love you so much. I love you and I love you and I love you so much.
Why I say, Muri Zimbabwe, you heard that from Jazz Signal. I want to note that Zukuru, shout out to Jazz Signal's management for sending us this video. Mava, kuzokune muimbi, ane mukurumbira, Jazz Signal, Zigi, anza umana, gezai maoko, and make sure, Kuti, you abide by the rules that are set by the authorities. Now, Muri Zimbabwe, one of the things that a lot of people were concerned about was, pakangobarwa munhu one chete ane chirwere coronavirus in the high density suburbs in places like Mbare. Panogona kuita problem chaiyo. Saka ndakaona chiri chinhu chakakosha kuti ndikurukure nevechidiki vari kuMbare tinzwe kuti pa 21-day lockdown vanhu vari kurarama sei kwavari. So I managed to catch up with the three of them. Omunye wabo Blessing Piri, we had him on the program last week. Si lo Shumirai, njalo lo Tinashe. All three young people who live in Mbare. Let's hear what they had to say about a lockdown Ekona. Blessing, welcome to our program. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us on The Connection. How are you? How are things looking in Mbare?
Well, I'd say the best it can be during the times like this.
That's the best response we could get. Thank you so much. So let's just start this off softly. How are things where they are, and what are things looking like? I'm sure Zimbabwe is now on day 4 or 5 of the lockdown. Yeah. How are things going so far where you are?
Well, the streets are empty. Mbare looks lifeless. Of course, you can come across 1 or 2 individuals. Just making rounds, probably going to the shops or, just trying to see what's happening in Kunze. But compared to its normal numbers of people that know on road, it's pretty lifeless at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So, local abantu ngempela are responding to what uhulumende said when they said, stay at home.
Yeah, to an extent, singasho njalo. But there's always room for improvement. People cannot stay indoors for 24/7. But then, on a nutshell, maybe on the surface, people are responding to the lockdown.
You're sitting labangani bako, so can you pass the phone over? See what do they have to say about what's going on? Let's see. All right, so we'll start off. Magade the Shumi and this is.
Yeah, this is Shumi.
All right, could you just tell our listeners your full name so that they know who I'm speaking to and what's going on?
All right, my name is Shumirai Maenga Hama. I'm calling from Mbare, Harare, Zimbabwe.
So Shumi, how are things looking kwa muri kumbare?
Well, I can say I'm enjoying the silence. Yeah, it's something that we have never experienced in Mbare. I'm really enjoying it. But somehow it has affected us in a negative way.
How is that?
The businesses, like here in Mbare, most of the people, they live from hand to mouth. So yeah, this whole crisis, it has really affected us in a negative way.
Asi mzvare nditsanangurewo mashops achiri akavhurika saka chiri kunyatsonetsa chii chiri kukutadzai kuti muende munotenga chekudya?
Well, only OK is open, but others, Mbare Musika is closed, fully closed. So yeah, there's nothing much that we can really do.
All right. Takaona last week in the mtungamiriri wenyika, that's when he announced kuti pachale pane 21-day shutdown, giving people a good 2-3 days to stock up on food and whatever it is they need. Do you think that was enough time for you as a person kuti muwe une nguva yekunotenga chikafu muonawo kuti mungararama sei pa 21 days idzi?
Yeah, but I think the time was very short. It was short, to be honest. Maybe we should have been given a week. Yeah, a week would have been better.
You highlighted that in Mbare there's not a lot of people right now, which ideally that means somehow people are responding to what government is saying when they say stay at home. What does this mean in terms of responding to rule of law in the country? Are people respecting the rules that are being set in terms of, okay, stay at home, social distancing, so forth? Are people responding to that?
Yeah, I can see that people are responding very well here in Bari. Yeah, we are responding.
Okay, let me hear from the next gentleman, and then I'll come back to you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Mike, how are you? Yeah, good.
All right, could you just introduce yourself so that our listeners and callers know who you are?
Yes, thank you. My name is Tinashe Zik, and I'm a resident in Bari, Zimbabwe.
Now, yes. Tinashe, what do you do for a living?
For a living, I'm a recent graduate in medical laboratory sciences, and at the moment, I'm doing my internship at CIMAS Med Labs in the Avenues.
Saka ndimi rinyatsonzwisisa kanyaya dzeCoronavirus came.
Yeah, nyaya dzecorona tikudzidzisa, but it's only that at the moment dziri kumboshandwa the public sector, like the government, Ministry of Health organization. And at the moment, I'm in private sector.
Now, we hear a lot of the cries that people are giving in information. Are people receiving a lot of information pertaining to the coronavirus, Kwamurigo?
All right, thank you. What I can say is at the moment, our government is trying by all means. They are actually doing their level best to make sure that everyone in the country gets the information that they should be receiving. We can see from our TV, ZTV in Zimbabwe, that every time that you turn on the TV, there is a COVID-19 message that's there. And I'm happy for that. And also maybe there is need for improvement in maybe for those who are less privileged, who don't have TVs at home and things like that.
Dambo, with getting enough time to stock up on stuff and all that. How are things looking for you? Somewhere you're doing your internship. How are things looking for you? How are you going to survive through the next 21 days?
The next 21 days, what I can say is it's going to be difficult, maybe starting from the second week up to the third. Because at the moment, people, they didn't have enough time to stock up food. And also during those the three days that we had to buy things, there was panic buying, and we couldn't get enough of the food. So it's going to be a challenge for the next two weeks, I guess. But what I can say is at the moment we are also getting food from OK, but hey, the queues there, they are very long, I can say.
Now, the issue itself of the queues are very long, and a lot of people are getting to OK. What does this mean, especially when we talk about social distancing? Are people still keeping their 2 meters away? They're just sitting right next to each other, forgetting the issue itself of social distancing?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge actually, because queues so social distancing, they're saying we need about 2 meters, 1 to 2 meters, but hey, so social distancing ipapo patori trick, but ndikuona given kuti pakaita one munhu ane covid pavanhu ivavo ndikuona spread.
Which is something you highlighted, and it's a good thing. Thank God you're in the medical field, or you have knowledge in the medical field. How do you go around based on my interviews that I know thus far, my reasons me, I'm a vendor, so I have to go out there and figure it out day to day. How do you then go around educating people to understand so that they can be well informed and understand how dangerous COVID is?
Yes, actually, at the moment, people they fear hunger more than COVID. Maybe they are misinformed, but in those and at the moment. But yeah, there's need for kudzidzisa vanhu kuti chii chinombonzi COVID and kuita izvozvo maybe since tisiri kutenderwa kufamba around maybe WhatsApp anomboshanda and we have been sending my messages WhatsApp tichimbo forward those zvatiri tichiona zviri relevant. So ndo the only way andiri kuona at the moment. And also prior to the lockdown like my churches ndaimbonotice hangu kuti like for example kwangu kuchurch vakambotry by all means kumboeducate vanhu on COVID, which is also a good thing. Yes.
All right, muri Zimbabwe manzwa vechidiki vari kumbare uko they were highlighting zvavari kusangana nazvo panguva iyo nyika iri pakati pechirongwa icho chinonzi lockdown, apo takanzwa mutungamiriri wenyika achiti for the next 21 days, this was last week, vanhu havasi kubvumidzwa kungofamba hanzi garai kudzimba dzenyu. This is a way to ensure kuti aiwa chirwere checoronavirus, umkhuhlane lo igciwana leli lecoronavirus does not spread. So idolitaba esilalo namuhla kuhlelo, ngithanda ukubonga abasakhulayo uBlessing Ophiri, uShomirai kanye loThinashe. Sibonge njalo uChido Chikwari yena laye ube lathi namuhla kuhlelo. Sesifika emaphethelweni ohlelo namuhla, sigqiba uhlelo lwethu namhlanje Mzulu Kandaba ngibona ngani uqhakathekile for me to highlight places where abantu can get more information on umkhuhlane lo weCoronavirus. Now, I've had the opportunity of speaking to several different young people who have initiatives that are currently running that target helping abantu ababhekane ngalolu dubo lokuswelakala kokudla abakatharisana nedambudziko lokushaywa kwechikafu nemvura parizvino during the 21 days. For those that don't know, ilizwe leZimbabwe selingenile phela week 2, kusho ukuthi sekusele one more week before the end of the 21-day lockdown. But throughout this time, abantu abaningi bakhanya ngani bayakhala besithi 1 week in chikafu chapera mvura hakuna. So abantu sebephuma ngobuningi babo, abanye bangikhona abathi abalayo imali yothenga ukudla. So there's organizations such as Roots that are currently helping, working alongside uHulumende Mongameli Emmerson Mnangagwa in distributing, essentials that are needed, like sugar. Roots is also currently working on an initiative whereby for women who are facing domestic abuse during this lockdown, where you can go stay throughout the duration of the lockdown. That way, they ensure at least amalungelo akho alakho ukuhlonitshwa. Sesixoxe njalo labasakhulayo abangaphansi kwenhlanganiso yona ethiwa yi-Platform for Youth Development ngale eManika Land. Sixoxe lo Salim Lambo ositshele ukuthi bona njengenhlanganiso they're now using social media, they're using text messages to educate abantu emphakathini mayelana ngaleli gciwane. So if you're looking to get a hold of uSalim Lambo or amalunga abenhlanganiso Platform for Youth Development, you can reach out to them via Twitter, you can reach out to them via Facebook, and that way it will lead you. For those that are only on WhatsApp or want to receive messages via SMS, head over to their social media pages and it will navigate you and directly way better. You will lead to a staging point whereby you'll be receiving those messages and receiving more info on the coronavirus. For those that also have been following our reports for the past week, Freeman has a GoFundMe page whereby they're raising imali yona elenjongo yokusiza abodokotela njengoba elizwe ngixoxa lo Chido we highlighted ukuthi abodokotela elizweni bona babhekane lodubo lokuswelakala kwempahla ngesikhathi sithi i-protective gear. So abo Freeman Chari bona abenhlanganiso Citizens Initiative, they're currently in the process of fundraising money that will be used. They've already started donating some stuff. Last week, Sibone, they donated some stuff to Mpilo Hospital, Gobulawayo. Throughout the same time, who were part of CBC, the old boys at CBC, who donated 400 liters of fuel to Mpilo Hospital. All these are initiatives that are being led by young people that target helping the nation as we fight against coronavirus. So, hi, Namuhla. Thank you so much to everybody who paid attention. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us on our program. This broadcast will be available on Facebook, so head over to our Facebook pages, VOA Studio 7, VOA Ndebele, VOA Shona, Apo Chichange, Chichikupai, Chirongwa, and you get to see the video product of this broadcast. Magatira Chirongwa Chidichara Chidiki, Oshelo Dig Connection, Lilami uMike Hove.
Wash your hands with soap and water before you eat, after using the toilet, after touching anything many other people touch, like a seat on a public bus. Scrub thoroughly for 20 seconds. If you cannot wash your hands, use a hand sanitizer. Taking these steps can prevent not only coronavirus, but also colds and flu and other viruses. For more information, visit the World Health Organization's website, www.who.int, or the Centers for Disease Control's website, www.cdc.gov.
Aiwa, Muria Zimbabwe, Tashika Kumakumo, Echongwa Chedu Nasi. Thank you so much for paying attention. Nasi Mchongwa Tagachi Bata, Nyaye Chirwere, Che coronavirus. It's one ele coronavirus. Thus far, the coronavirus has over 1 million people worldwide. Over 1,300,000 people worldwide have tested positive for COVID-19. Over 700 people have passed on due to umkhuhlane coronavirus. But I must highlight if you test positive for coronavirus, it doesn't automatically mean umuntu is now already passing along. Just like abantu can recover or abantu can survive. However, there is no cure for it. So Sikulumanje Elizweni, there are 10 people who have tested positive for COVID-19. Thus far, 9 people are in self-isolation and recovering. The 10th person was a 24-year-old young female who flew into Zimbabwe 2 weeks ago from the United Kingdom. Thus far, of those 10 people who have tested positive for COVID-19, unfortunately, we have lost one life, who was the 30-year-old Zoro Makamba. Kwanelo namhla mthwakazo omuhle Zimbabwe omuhle sihlanganeni kuhlelo Dig Connection ngeviki ezayo abafisa ukuxoxisana nami lilapho kungixhuma ku-Twitter njalo ku-Instagram nokwanisa abantu bathi Instagram ne Twitter @BigMike3 is the username BIGMYKE3. As I mentioned earlier on, this broadcast will be available on our 3 Facebook pages. Sakapatino uploader aiwa muri Zimbabwe tinya ipaya bakanzi share kuthi tuone uwandu wedu. Kwanelo namhla olevalisayo mthwakazo omuhle Zimbabwe omuhle anokoneka enemfaro ndini Mike Hove. Tosangana same time, same place next week. Bye bye.